Let's see right here. See how we're doing. How we're doing. Good morning. Good morning. There we go. Here we go. Good morning, starshine. La la la. See what's going on over here. Let's try that. Okay. Now let's try this. Here we go. Look at us figuring stuff out, being all technologically savvy this morning. Good morning, everybody. How's hello there. Good morning back to you, sweet lady. The coming to you from, man, it's kind of gray and cold. It's just cold here in the city of Atlanta. Somebody's got a name on here, Lori High Maintenance. That seems like something I would give one of my daughters that name. I'm like, ooh, pity the man that gets that child, or the woman that gets that child. But anyhow, good morning, everybody. Hey, back to you, Lori, High Maintenance. Yeah, just sitting here having my coffee this morning, not doing nothing, just piddling, diddling, daddling. I got Boom Boom and Gracie a vet appointment down in Ellenwood at, hey, thank you for the hat. Down in Ellenwood, 2:30 today. So between now and 2:30. Good morning, Freedy. Thank you for the gift there, Lori. Thank y'all for the hearts, for the follows. Y'all come on in. Come on in. Let's just take a few minutes this morning and say hey to everybody. How's everybody doing? It's just cold and wet here in the city of Atlanta. It's gray. Yeah, they got flash flood watches out for the city of Atlanta for the next 2 or 3 days, and a lot of rain supposed to be coming through. Boom Boom and Grace is in there laying on the bed in front of the fireplace. I'm sitting here in front of my dining room window. Good morning there, Roxy. Same here in South Carolina, Bridget says. It's just cold, wet, rainy. You know, it's kind of almost, these kind of days can get you kind of depressed a little bit. They can be dreadful, but then they can also kind of be wonderfully dreadful if you just kind of got the time to pile up on the bed and watch some TV and not have to get out and do a lot in it. It's raining here in Greenville, South Carolina also. Bring us some sunshine. Yeah. And a lot of the country is getting snow out in different areas. Thank y'all for the hearts. And Greenville turned out to be such a quaint, pretty little place. I got a friend of mine, Mark, that just bought a condo over in Greenville, retiring over there, works here in Atlanta. Yeah, Greenville's kind of a hip little town now. Heading to Georgia tomorrow, so the weather better straighten up. Yeah. Good morning, Miss Rhonda. Good morning to you over on Facebook. It is. What is it? Wednesday, cold, rainy Wednesday. It's very gray here in Charlotte. Yeah, Roxy says. We have a few inches of wet, heavy snow here in Maryland. It's 27 degrees. Yeah, y'all, we had 2 snows in January. That's enough. We good. We good, hun, here in Atlanta, here in Georgia. Rhonda says it's dreary in Virginia. I think the whole Southeast just has this weather system where it's just rainy and cold, and they got snow like up in Maryland. And you know, what's that? the guy that had the stroke, the country singer, Randy Travis, sing about old men like to sit around and talk about the weather. People years ago used to be like, I know, oh my, I got my arthritis messed up. The weather's changing, and people in the South are so funny. Still snowing here in Pennsylvania, Lexi says. Yeah, we do need some sunshine, and it is dreary in politics, isn't it? Isn't it, y'all? Y'all, it's just weird. All this stuff, I'm trying to I think we're all just trying to process the fact that we're living. Sheila over on Facebook says says morning, cold, misty rain here in southern Illinois, beautiful, shiny national forest area. I could imagine that's beautiful up there. But we're all processing the fact that we're basically living through a part of history where America is having a coup take place. This is not a transfer of a legitimate government. This is where, and now now the Republicans are starting to try to repass the law that's required all this documentation. Like for me to go vote, I've got to show a birth certificate, a driver's license, social security card, and what they're doing is basically the same group of people. If you think about this, the same group of people who for years have said fake news, fake news, fake news, they themselves are the number one supporters of the biggest fake news in our country, which was Fox News. And now the people, so now people that are ranting and raving about rigged elections are now the ones that's trying to make sure that they set up a system where the elections stay rigged and are rigged. And so we're just living through this period where the country's under siege. It's under a coup that's going on, that we have already a constitutional crisis in the country now because Donald Trump and J.D. Vance are saying now that they'll just not obey federal courts. If the courts tell them you can't do this or that, they'll just say, well, we will do it. And then what are you going to do? You ain't got no way to enforce it. We can do what we want to do. So the country's in a constitutional crisis, and we knew this was coming. This is basically an overthrow of our democracy. And the people that voted for Donald Trump, that's what they want. They want the country to be overthrown. They want to make sure that the white people of this country hold on to the power in any kind of reconstrued way that they can hold on to it. Lacey says it is a coup. It's a constitutional crisis. What do we do to stop them? Well, right now we can't really do nothing. Some people are suggesting that at some point that we take to the streets. That's the way people's always done it in the past. That we take to the streets. Good morning, Digits Mom. And I think you will start to see a galvanization of people that will mobilize and start to march again, to start to protest again, because we're not just going to go gently and silently into the night as a bunch of Russia, communist, Putin-loving people, which are the MAGA people. They love Russia. They want Russia to take over Ukraine. They want Putin and Donald Trump to go fishing together, and so they, and y'all people over on TikTok, don't give these MAGA people that come on here any energy. Just ignore them. Yeah, I can have moderators to delete all that, but they're silly. They're just silly, and so don't even respond to them. If you respond to them, then they win. That's what they love. They love to get attention and to win. They like to come on somebody else's platform like mine that has hundreds of thousands of people. And because if you look, I've looked at these people, these MAGA people on here that have all this big microphone to come on here and, all you homosexuals are going to go to hell if you don't turn to Christ, all that stuff. You look on their TikTok page, they have 37 people following them. Good Lord, don't pay no attention to that silliness. Now, if it was a MAGA person on here that had 500,000 people on their chat room or their chat TikTok and they wanted to have a discussion, but I ain't going to waste my time with somebody got 37 followers. So just that's MAGA for you. Just don't pay no attention to it. But we're living through a constitutional crisis. We're living through a dissimulation of our democratic system. It's been going on in state houses and across the South for a long time, and now we have a fascist government that's leading our country right now, and so we are just, it seems like it's been going on now for a year, but really and truly, y'all, it's only been going on for 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month. We're not even got our bearings on, and the Democrats, which are the opposition party, are rudderless right now. They don't have a speaker. They don't have a voice. They don't have somebody that's I'm telling you, Chuck Schumer, he also needs to follow Nancy Pelosi and find some other way. The Democrats need a new way forward, and that new way forward is new voices, and I did see where the little young fellow down in Florida that became such a spokesperson in the school massacre down there, where he was elected. I'm sorry, I don't know his name. That he was elected. MAGA was too much on TikTok, so Valerie said she came over here. Yeah, y'all don't pay no attention to them. The thing about it is, y'all look at that. If you was gonna date David Hogg, yeah, Rhonda, thank you. See, he's young. He has proven that he's seasoned. He understands issues. And, he survived that school massacre. So he has a passion about his cause, and he raised awareness and millions of dollars. Very inspiring. There's other voices out there that's going to come on the scene, that's going to galvanize us as Americans. We don't have it now. It's not going to be, what is the lady senator's name from Massachusetts? It's not going to be her, and it's not going to be Bernie Sanders. I don't think the country is ready for Pete Buttigieg. They're not ready for a homosexual to be president. But right now, it's only been 4 weeks. The country is in a constitutional crisis, and we're going through a coup, and we're going through this great tearing apart of our country. But I sat here this morning, and I have to have hope that the galvanization is going to come. And to think about this, everybody just take a breath. Just take a breath. There will be protests. There will be marches. They will be re-energized. I know this is, in a metaphoric sense, the Democratic Party needs a Moses to come forward. We need somebody who has been in the desert, has been on the sidelines, but that the Democratic Party needs a type of Moses to rise up and to lead people out from under this bondage. Because I'm going to tell you, America is under great oppression right now, in a great bondage. People can feel it. People can sense it. Women's rights are being taken away. I think marriage equality will be overturned at some point. They've signed executive orders throwing out the 23,000 trans military people, that's military personnel. This is simply oppression and bondage. And but the Democrat Party will, we've had people in the past to rise up. Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I don't know if any of you people's ever been right down the road from where I live to Pineview, Georgia, somewhere. Anyhow, right down here where the little White House was, Franklin Delano Roosevelt. And it's a nice little Saturday walk around the little, what they call the little White House. Valerie said, I protested last Saturday and we'll do it again. We'll do so again on this coming Monday. Gail says, I am so drained by all of this awful stuff happening. Well, Gail, and it is draining, but let me say this to y'all. Don't let them drain you. Don't let them get you like, oh my God, what's happening? Oh, we're hopeless. We're that's what fascists like to do. They like to put people under bondage, under oppression, make them feel, well, if you stand up and say something, we will knock you down, and so we have to be logical and reasonable in what's going on in the country. My thing is, I'm going to spend my time the next year or two just warning people, don't become complacent. Because if you become complacent and dull to it, the very abnormal will begin to feel like it's normal. What's going on in our country, and by these groups of hate-filled people that really hate the immigrants on the southern border, they hate trans people, they hate the rights of gay people. It can be so flooded over us that we think, well, that's just the normal way things are done. That's not normal, y'all. That's not normal. And we have to make sure our hearts know what's right and what's not right. And the same people that have screamed for years about fake news are now trying to shut down legitimate news. It's a ploy, all of it. They know Donald Trump and his cohorts, they know, and MAGA, the people that voted for them, they know exactly what they're doing. And I'm going to condense this down for you in a nutshell, what it is. For the last 20 years, the white majority of people in this country has continued to decline. And the people, non-white people in this country have continued to increase in percentage of the country. So it's reached the tipping point where that the white people are going to lose the power to rule with an iron fist, because in the 200 years or whatever, our country up here in the White House, it's always been old white men that's ruled the country. We have an 80-year-old white bigot man in 2025 that's sitting in the White House ruling our country right now. What they started to realize, that's changing. And white people are not going to let the power go. If they have to destroy democracy in order to keep white people in power, believe me, white people will do that. And so this is basically, when they say white Christian nationalists are evangelicals, about 90-something% of all evangelicals are white people, or 80% or something. You can Google it. But this is a white person takeover of our country, to make sure we hold on to it. Don't let the people that's non-white have the power to control. And even in the year 2025, with basically half the country non-white now, if you look at the Congress, if you look at the Senate, if you look at the president, if you look at the courts, if you look at everything, is still all predominantly white. Yeah, in the Senate, we have 5 or 6 African Americans, in the House, 30 or 40, 400 something. 35 of them, 50, but the white majority is locked in across state houses across the country, across state legislators, Congress. It's white. This is not by no accident. The MAGA people are white people. Yeah, you'll see that. They'll have 10,000-15,000 people at a thing, and Donald Trump will say, hey, look at my one Negro over there. You'll see a handful of black people, but there's always been self-hating black people in our country. And that's what I look at that as, just black people that just feel more comfortable around bigoted white people than their ancestors. And so we're in this time in this history. And I guess what I would say in the few minutes that I'm going to be on here, it is white supremacy. And they're proud to say it's white supremacy. Can y'all believe in the Charlottesville riots, when Donald Trump came out and said about the Nazis, that they're good people on both sides of that. And yet the white people of this country, they love that because they voted him back in office. And so, and I hate to make this a white and black thing, but really and truly, if we're just going to be honest this morning, America has always been a white and a black thing, you know. And so it still is nowadays. Luckily for our side, the side that's always been more progressive, we've always had really a huge support among African Americans that was also on the side of right. And when but we're living through oppression right now. We're living through there's a type of bondage over the country right now. And yeah, I'm just reading emails coming through. So anyhow, good morning, TikTok. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, Instagram. Good morning, YouTube. Coming to you from my little dining room here in East Point, Georgia, on a cold, rainy Atlanta morning. Thank y'all for the hearts and for the follows and for the gifts and for the taps and all that other stuff over on and all the other stuff over on TikTok. Yeah, and you know, Lacey, people are afraid. I don't know if being afraid is the right way to be, but I certainly can understand why now. Openly gay teenagers in high schools now, they're afraid to be too open. Their rights are being questioned. And let me tell you something. I'm going to tell you something, just point blank. The Republican Party, pre MAGA, when it was just the Republican Party, they have never been a friend to homosexuals. They have never been a friend to Black Americans. They voted against the 1964 Civil Rights Act. They voted against every Voting Rights Act. The Republicans have. They've never been a friend to anybody but white people. They're a party of white people, by white people, for white people, and MAGA is no different. MAGA just took it to another level where that they can now openly say, we are racist, we are bigots, and we're going to shout and be proud of it. And I would tell you this, if you listen to this morning, you're like, well, Eddie, I voted for Donald Trump. I'm not a racist or bigot. Well, you're full of shit because you are who you vote for. If you voted for a Nazi, you can't stand back then and say, well, I'm not a Nazi, Eddie. I just voted for a Nazi. You can't. Well, you're so full of shit. What's wrong with you? Are your mind really that bad that you can't put two and two together? How dumb a knot on the log can somebody be? Lacey says, I'm not afraid anymore, but I am on alert in public. Yes. East Point, Georgia. Is that in Atlanta? Yes, Janice Bale, that's in Atlanta. It's like 5 miles from downtown Atlanta. It's a little town, East Point. You got East Point, College Park, Hateville over here, Decatur. You got all these little like neighborhoods outside of Atlanta. Although my house, I can be down on Peachtree Street in 10 minutes from my house, but it's actually, the mailing address is East Point, Georgia, in case anybody wants to mail me a check. So, yeah. So, and Jefferson Park, the little neighborhood I live in, was known years ago as the Gayborhood, which means a lot of gay and lesbian people moved in this neighborhood that I'm in because they felt there was a community here for us. And I have been out of the whole gay rights thing for a long time. You know, I was a great advocate for years for HIV positive people, and volunteered for 2 years, 2 days a week at Aid Atlanta as an intake counselor. And I don't know, maybe I go back, maybe I go back and begin to volunteer. I think we go back and re-walk our paths, our steps, where we advocate again, become advocates again, where we get involved a little more in our community. Thank you there, Miss Lacy. But anyhow, everybody, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Good morning, coming to you from Atlanta. I'm about to get off here shortly and get my day going. We're just in real trying times right now, and we're really feeling the oppression and the craziness. And the Democrats have got to find their rudder, got to find their voice. And the thing about it is, even the scripture says, if the person gives an uncertain sound, like if you're going into battle, it says to give a clear, distinct sound so we know the battle started. There's nobody in the Democratic Party that's given a clear sound of like, we're going to engage in the battle. But I'm telling you, I believe that there is voices yet to come. There's a Moses's, or if the female version of that, Moses, is out there, where that's going to give the country a battle cry of how to mobilize, how to come together, how to withstand this oppression. Because I'm telling you, this is oppression. Fascism is oppression. Communism is oppression. And oppression's heavy. It weighs on you too, Miss Diane over on Facebook says, I had a black coworker who was black, and I remember her saying, I will never move to a housing development that's had plantation in its name. Yeah, Hilton Head Plantation, St. James Place. I had never thought about it being disrespectful or reminded my coworker of slavery. Yeah, that is weird, isn't it, Diane? Plantation. You know what I've noticed over the years, last 20 years, realtors, I always referred to the main bedroom, especially if it had an ensuite off of it, as I always, for my generation, we called that the master bedroom, And then the realtors did away with that master bedrooms, and that didn't even connect with me. It was kind of like the master of the house. They got away from that term, and now they just call it they call it some other name, but they got away from calling it a master. And the plantation, plantation's kind of creepy. Hey, y'all, I was going to tell you one time that me and Ava was down in New Orleans, and so on our way to drive to San Francisco. So, Pete Buttigieg has also spoken out. Stansberry is speaking out. We went to Oak Alley Plantation right outside of New Orleans. It was a real famous working plantation. You go, it's big old, I guess the master's house. And then out behind it had these little bitty one-room shacks still standing where the slaves were kept out there, and they slept on the floor without a mattress. And you go walk through all that. My God. And then there was people that booked that to have their weddings there. I'm like, who would want to have a wedding at a plantation with the little shanties still out back and the chains and where they chain? I'm like, God, who? But they book weddings there and they book events. It just felt, I know it's probably all in my head, but I just felt so many weird, odd energies about walking around there. The Mississippi River was right there across the road. Boy, the South has some real screwed up history, doesn't it? So anyway, y'all, good morning. So I'm going to get off of here. Love y'all. Maybe see y'all this evening. I'm going to get some running. I got to take my puppies to the vet here shortly. See y'all.